Hey, everybody, and welcome to day 26 of 30 Days of How to Be Successful with me, Jody Almond. And I am excited to be here with you tonight. I cannot wait to jump in and begin discussing with you tonight some of these mind fields that we introduced yesterday. Now, if this is your first night with us, welcome. And you may say, well, who are you and what gives you any clout to even talk to me? Let me tell you who I am really quickly. If you see right here beside of my bookcase, you can see that I am the CEO and founder of Solution Ministries. It's a ministry where I really work with people and with businesses. I am a private coach, personal life coach, as well as a professional coach in the business world, and I help people get their businesses up and running and find ways to thrive in life. I believe that we are meant to thrive, not simply survive. And so that is a lot of what I do. Outside of that, I am also a pastor for over 20 years and have done very well with that and been able to help many, many people over life with that, as well as the number one Amazon best-selling author of Going All In, Finding Success Through Surrender. It reached its number one best-selling status in the first 5 days of being on Amazon, and still is out there, and people are still being impacted by that. And that was just back in January. And COVID is not slowing us down. We're still rolling on with success. And the reason I can do that is because I understand my purpose. And if you've been with me, then you know that as we've talked about that in our sessions here in 30 days of how to be successful with me, Jody Almond, this is Real Talk. And as we've talked about it, you know that we have talked about several different aspects of learning how to be successful, right? And so some of those aspects we've talked about in learning how to be successful is we have discussed so far discovering your purpose. I believe that every human being has a purpose that they are given by their creator. Now, I am a faith-based teacher. It's not to cram it down your throat, but it is because that's where I found my success, is in being God partnered. Again, I'm not going to cram it down your throat. If you need to just kind of skip across that parts, that's between you and your creator or whatever it is you believe. But I want you to understand that as I mentioned faith-based topics, it will be brought up in some of my sessions, actually most of them. And so as I talk about that, I want you to understand I learned that being God partnered was crucial, because if I do not understand why I've been created by my creator, then I cannot flow in the purpose and in the potential that I've been given. So we talked about discovering your purpose, then developing your purpose. And we've also talked about how you have potential predators that are out to try to destroy your potential, but we have to recognize them and destroy them. Then we talked about a week ago, we discussed time management and how that we have to look at time as an investment. We cannot look at time as something we just have to spend. We have to invest it and look at what is the return on my investment concerning time that I can get back. And then this week we've jumped in, and yesterday I introduced a new topic to you, which is called MindFields. And today I want to go in and really get into that first mind field that I want to talk to you about today, right? Because I believe that as we understand and learn about these minefields, it's crucial to gain some understanding. Now, stick with me, because some of these may sound like, oh, I don't even need to watch this. This is not one I deal with, but let me encourage you and actually just help you, because what I have found in my own life, as well as studying this out in the lives of those who are much more successful in different areas than I am and that I look behind, I have found that this is a very real minefield that even the most successful, such as we'll talk about tonight, people like Maya Angelou and Michelle Obama and even T.D. Jakes, people like that have dealt with this minefield in their life. And I want to encourage you tonight, because I want to give you a heads up on it so that you can head it off quicker than so many others do. And so as we talk about it tonight, let's jump in and let's get started. And that one's going to be imposter syndrome. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So imposter syndrome has this idea: I am not enough. So when we talk about imposter syndrome, the idea behind it is you have the idea and the feeling that you're not enough. In other words, you feel like you're an imposter. If you're reaching any level of success at all versus where you were to where you are, no matter what you're doing, if you are an editor, if you're a writer, if you are a video content creator, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're the husband or the wife trying to be more successful at loving your spouse or being a good parent, and you feel like, oh man, I think I'm doing good, but I don't feel like I'm enough. I don't feel like I deserve my success. Or this is the other mindset. People's going to realize that I'm just a fraud. This is just a show. I can't keep this up, right? And so imposter syndrome is a psychological phenomenon where people feel they don't deserve their accomplishments. Have you ever been there? Have you ever accomplished something and you felt like, I don't deserve this? I don't deserve what I'm getting. I don't deserve the success. Now, there's reasons why this happens to people, and studies have found, when we're talking about imposter syndrome, studies have found that 70% of all people feel like imposters at one time or another. So that proves that most of us have dealt with imposter syndrome. Now, I've dealt with this, and there's my reasons for that. And I'm going to maybe hit on that just a little bit tonight if time allows. We try to keep these sessions to about 30 minutes. So if time allows, because I've got a lot of content to share with you, I'll hit on a little bit of that. But tonight I want you to understand that I've dealt with it myself. I've been in the position of a person who was struggling, and I've been in the position of a person who settled, and I've been in the position of a person who was stranded, left just by other people, hurt and affected in life where you didn't even want to go forward. And I've also now been in the position of success. And can I tell you something? In every one of those different positions I've been placed in and I've had my life in as a part of, I have found that I have struggled at different places with I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not fast enough, right? I'm not enough. And then there's other times where I've dealt with the second side of it, and it's like, people's somewhere this is going to fall apart, and people's going to say I was a fraud. People's going to say that I'm this and I'm that. And you most likely at some point in some scenario in your life, my friend, have dealt with that as well. So let's jump in and talk about this imposter syndrome tonight. Because what I find, I've already mentioned, hugely successful people like Maya Angelou, Neil Gaiman, Michelle Obama have come out and admitted that they have bouts of imposter syndrome. Now, if you're struggling tonight with it right now and you're struggling with imposter syndrome, it's vital to get to the bottom of it. You need to understand it. You need to find ways to move past it, because believing we don't deserve our success contributes to greater feelings of depression, inadequacy, difficulty in relationships, and low self-esteem. And I don't want you to have those issues, because here's what I know. Jeremiah 29 says, from my creator, God, Jehovah, says of him that he desires and he has plans for me to prosper. In other words, he wants me to succeed. Think about it this way. If you were creating something, would you create it for it to fail? Some of you out there are creators like I am. And so when I create this, I don't create this to fail. I create this to succeed. Now, depending upon what you consider success is what's going to be a failure or success. The difference between me and other people and me and God is that God never fails. And so when God created me, and if I flow in what he created me in my purpose, my divine purpose, then what I will find is, how can I fail? If I fail, God created me to fail, and that's not the God that I serve. All right? And so I want you to understand that. And I believe that God created you as well. And I believe that when God created you, he created you with a specific, unique, individual purpose. And if you will flow, if you will find and flow in that purpose, you will begin finding your success very quickly, because you can't fail. Right? All right. So let's jump in, and I want to talk to you tonight about this MindField, because what we find is that in this MindField, there's some important things to learn. So let's jump in. There are 5 types of imposter syndrome. All right. The first type of imposter syndrome is the perfectionist. And this type of imposter sets extremely high expectations on themselves, higher than they would ever expect of somebody else. The perfectionist will still feel like a failure even if they meet most of their goals. Here's an example. Scoring 90% on an exam won't please a perfectionist. They want 100%. And even if they meet 99% of their goals, they're going to feel like a failure. And the reason why is because any small mistake will make them question their own competence. Now, I've been like this at times in my life, if I'm honest. I am somewhat of a perfectionist. I get really frustrated when sometimes I even go back and watch these live streams because I'm like, but at the same time, I've grown and I've learned that nothing is perfect, right? Nothing is perfect. I just need to look at it and say, did I give it my all? Did I give it everything I had prior to, during, and after? So let me explain what I'm saying for like these live streams. I didn't just write out something. I didn't just throw you material. I didn't just get on here and talk. You can see that I took the time to create slides, and I've taken the time to create content for you. I didn't just come on here and talk. I do have the gift of gab. I can talk to anybody in any crowded room at any time. But here's the point. I'm not here just to talk. I am here to impart wisdom to you that I have learned. I am here to impact your life, and I am here to influence your life. And I am here to do that so that you can find success in 30 days or less. That's my goal. And so when I go back and look at this session right here, did I do the homework? And then when I show up, do I show up filled up? And then when I'm finished, do I continue to answer your question? Do I continue to try to help you where I can? What am I doing? Am I continuing to promote that video and get it to more people on YouTube and this and that? Yes, that's what I'm doing. And so I want you to understand that if you're the perfectionist, you have to understand. You have to understand. Give it your best. And your best is as good as it gets. And your best will never be completely 100% without flaw or without any kind of failure at all. But you have to realize that your flaws make you unique. So work with it. Work with it, right? So let's go to point number 2. Not only perfectionists, but experts. And the experts that are in our imposter syndrome, they feel like they need to know absolutely everything about a specific subject before they start a project. They will seek out training to improve their skills in that area. This can hold them back in various ways, such as not applying for jobs unless they're absolutely perfectly qualified, or by not asking a question in a meeting because they feel they should already know the answer. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. You've heard me already talk about this. You should continually and constantly be growing in your success. You should never stop growing. You should never stop learning. You should never stop striving, okay, for some better knowledge, for some better experience, for some better mentoring, whatever it is. You should always be growing. Here's what I want you to understand. You will become what the world calls an expert. I shared this with you. If you were to take 1 hour every day on any topic, let's say me, I'm going to take 1 hour a day on success, and I'm going to develop myself in the area of success for 1 hour every day for the next 5 years. We've already talked about this, but I want to reiterate it. The world at the point of 5 years or before would consider me an expert. But what I would truly know once I arrive there is that I'm not an expert. There's a lot of knowledge I retain. There's a lot of skill that I retain. But to be an expert, I don't know that anyone is absolutely an expert on anything. We have a lot of knowledge, and some has more than others, skill, and some has more than others. But to say you're an expert means there's never anyone better in that field than you, and there's nothing for you left to learn in that field. And I think in every field there's always more to learn. So do not let the expert imposter syndrome catch you, because it catches many people because they feel like I don't I don't deserve to speak on this. I don't deserve to write on this. I don't deserve to podcast about this. I'm not the expert. Listen, start where you know, but put the work in to get the knowledge you need so that you can sound reliable to the people that you're speaking to. Number 3, a natural genius. The natural genius academically and socially intelligent person who rarely has to struggle to learn. So in other words, these people are very intelligent academically, or that they are socially intelligent and they have a very social intelligence and they rarely struggle to learn. They will have bouts of imposter syndrome when they find something difficult. This is because they are used to learning new skills so easily that when something becomes difficult, they feel like they are struggling. They begin to struggle, and so when that happens, they feel like this task requires effort, and they feel it's because they're actually an imposter and not very intelligent at it at all. But let's be honest, guys. Let's be honest, everyone. Would you be honest enough to tell yourself that you can be great? You can be great in this area of your life, and you can struggle in this area. This is called strengths and weaknesses, right? We all have them. We all have them. Now, you have people that are multifaceted in life, and they can do different things very well. Many of you may remember the old athlete Bo Jackson, and Bo knows, right? Bo knows football, Bo knows baseball, Bo knows this. And so the thing is that Bo was very skilled at picking up different sports. He was just very athletic. But here's the thing. You take Bo and you say, okay, Bo, I want you to go on one of the cooking shows and I want you to defeat Bobby Flay, right? Bo may not be able to defeat Bobby Flay because in the realm of cooking, Bo cannot successfully defeat Bobby Flay. And so if Bo's the kind of person who feels like he is a natural gifted genius, so to speak, and he's so academically smart when it comes to football and baseball, and he's so socially intelligent when it comes to football and baseball, and then he gets into the kitchen and he struggles, he may feel like, I'm not saying he does, but he could feel like he is struggling and he could feel like an imposter. Like, wow, people's going to know I'm not a natural genius. You're never going to be good at everything, but you find what you're gifted in. This is why it's so important to understand your purpose and your gifts. You find what you're gifted in, what you're meant to do, all right? And you do that. You do that. It's like a spoon can't be a fork, right? A spoon cannot be a fork, but a spoon makes a heck of a spoon. And when I'm eating soup, I don't want to use a fork. I need a spoon. You with me? All right. So don't try to be what you're not. Be what you are, and don't let the imposter syndrome of natural genius grab you. The next one is soloist. A soloist doesn't ask for help. It's all in the word, right? Since they feel they have to accomplish every task on their own, this means they rarely delegate tasks around the home to other family members, and they struggle to allow other members of a team to take some of their workload. The situation of needing to ask for help leads them to feel like they're a failure. All right, so maybe this is you. Is this the one that hits home? Are you the person that feels like I should be able to accomplish this successfully by myself? This is the thing, and we talked about this in time management and delegating. You will reach a place where in order to be successful, you will have to be able to efficiently delegate tasks to people that are trustworthy and that have the skill sets to do those tasks. Remember, we have to vet our people, but when you find those people, you're able to delegate it, because if you continue to try to take the workload, let me give you an example. If you're going into business, you might can handle 50 customers, right? But can you handle 5,000 customers? Can you handle 50,000 customers? Because here's the catch. You can't. You can't, not by yourself. You're going to need help. What you could do with 50 and giving them great quality service and a great product and great this and great that, you cannot maintain by yourself. And the soloist feels like they need to maintain this. And when they can't maintain it, what they do is they back away from it. They back away from it and they say, well, we'll settle for where we're at. Successful people aren't settlers, friend. You have to be successful, and you have to get out of the imposter syndrome of soloist. Let me share the last one with you, which is superheroes. Superheroes is the type of person that pushes themselves to work much harder than the people around them, and this is in an effort to prove that they are legitimate and not imposters. They push themselves so hard in every aspect of their life, from their career to their relationships, that it ends up most of the time having a negative effect on their well-being, as they rarely give themselves time to just relax. So you have the superhero imposter syndrome. They're constantly trying to outwork everybody, outsmart everybody. They want to be the superhero in the room, right? They want to be the superhero in the room. And so I don't want you to get caught up in that. I want you to work hard. I always want you to try to outwork everybody, be smarter than everybody, not in the sense of being proud, but because you've put in the work, you've put in the effort, you're showing up, filled up. But listen, don't do it in the sense of, I have to do this. You want to do it in the sense of, I want to stand out in the crowd as the leader in my field, as one of the leaders in my field. And so by doing that, you don't allow yourself to adopt the superhero syndrome, and you don't get caught up in this, okay? For time's sake, I'm going to run with it because I need to talk to you. So when we talk about these things, I want to show you what I'm saying. Fear of failure is huge when you talk about imposter syndrome. And I'll be honest, in my life, that's been for years one of my greatest struggles is fear of failure, right? And fear of failure is defined as a tendency to appraise threat and feel anxious during situations that involve the possibility of failing. But on the flip side of that, you have fear of success. And on the other hand is a fear of doing something great. This is often due to fearing disappointment or not feeling worth, okay? In imposter syndrome, the two go hand in hand. For example, someone could feel anxious about going for a job interview in a high management role because they're scared they will fail, but simultaneously fear getting the job in the case they lose their friendships with their new success. So here's what I want to do tonight. I want to give you a quick quiz, all right? A quick quiz, a pop quiz, if you will, tonight, because I believe that there's a lot of people that are watching this and you're like, man, do I have imposter syndrome, right? And so let me give you this quick quiz, right? Here's how you can ask yourself just a few simple questions and figure out if this sounds like something you can relate to. You look at our imposter quiz right here and you answer yes or no, right? So here we go. Do you ever feel that you don't deserve your achievements? In other words, is there ever times in your life when you achieve something, you achieve a milestone, you achieve a goal, and you feel like you don't deserve it? Number two, do you ever worry that people will find out you're secretly not worthy? Do you feel like there's things that are in your life or things from your past or whatever that if people found out about, it would ruin your success? Number three, after a success, have you dismissed it as just good luck or timing? In other words, you say, oh, it's just the right time, or wow, I was lucky. I was lucky to get that break. I was lucky to get that interview. I was lucky to get that book published, right? The next one is, do you think you have tricked others into thinking you are more successful than you actually are? And the last one, do you think others overvalue your success? Here's the thing. If you answered yes to more than two of these, you possibly and most likely are experiencing a level of imposter syndrome. All right? So here's what I want to share with you. Many people experience imposter syndrome because of nature and nurture, right? So here's what it is. Many times in life, we just feel inadequate. We feel like we're not enough. We feel like because we're not the star athlete, or we're not the person who is academically just great at our grades and intelligent, or we're not the best writer. We're not the Stephen King of the world and these things here. Listen, nature has an effect on it, right? And the reason why is because so many times we haven't found our purpose. We're not in our lane. Okay, we're trying to get in someone else's lane and we're not in our lane. When you're in your lane, you can do it in your sleep, right? When you figure out what it is you're gifted to do, I promise you, if you've been gifted to do it, you can do it. Now you need to develop that gift and become more equipped in your gifting. But here's the thing, you can do it very effectively. When we get out of our lane and we get in the other lane, I've never been to England as of yet. But if I did go, I know that it would feel odd for me to drive on what we call the wrong side of the road, and they call over here the wrong side of the road. But you drive a different way over there in your vehicles. And that would feel odd to me. I would feel like I was in the wrong lane because it's not what I'm accustomed to. It's not what I've been doing. It's not what I've learned to do. It's not how I've been trained to do it. And it's not what I'm good at. I can drive, but driving on an opposite side of the road is different than driving on the side of the road that I am here. And so what I'm trying to say is when you get out of your lane, you become uncomfortable. When you get out of your lane, you're not as skilled. When you get out of your lane, you're not as smart. And so when you understand that, you understand that nature has a play, but then nurture. Nurture also has a play. And I'm not just talking about from your parents. You could have the best parents in the world, but it was a school teacher. Let me quickly share this story with you. If you remember Steve Harvey, many of you know Steve Harvey. I listened to some of Steve Harvey's motivational speaking and teaching. And Steve Harvey has shared in that how that his mom was always an encourager. His mom was always telling him he could do anything. That's nurturing, okay? That's positive nurturing. But Steve Harvey, when he was a child, had a stuttering issue. And one day in school, they had what we'd call like a career day type thing. And they had to write a paper on what they wanted to be when they grew up. And Steve Harvey turned in his paper. And on his paper, he had written that he wanted to be on TV. And so the teacher waited till last. And when Steve realized she waited till last, he thought, man, I must have really killed this. She really wants to let me be last because it's such a great paper. And so when she called him up, she said, little Stevie, tell us what you wrote on your paper. And he said, I wrote I want to be on TV. And he's stuttering because when he got really nervous, he would stutter. And what we find is that she looked at him and she said, Stevie, do you know anybody on TV? Is your parents, is your grandparents, is your uncles, is somebody in your neighborhood? Is there anybody on TV? And is like, no. And he's getting more anxious now because now he realizes she's poking him. She's making fun of him. And so he's stuttering worse. And so he gets to the point he don't even want to talk. And she looked at him and she says, Stevie, you can't even talk in front of this class. What makes you think you can be on TV? And I heard Steve Harvey say this. He said that impacted him for years in his life. You see, when we're told we can't do something, we shouldn't do something, we'll never do something, it gives us that mentality that causes us to have these issues with imposter syndrome. And what happens is when we get that, we have these feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. And it's because of the different experiences in our life. And I want to encourage you today. I'm going to give you another faith tip, right? Here's an encouragement. Philippians says, I can do all things through my Creator, Christ, who equips and strengthens me. Now, I added some words in there because what I want you to understand is if you believe like I do and you're faith-based like I am, then you understand that Christ created all things and you understand that He equips all things through His Spirit. And so if you understand that, if you grasp that, and you become God-partnered in your purpose, can I tell you something? You can eliminate this minefield. And as you navigate your success and you walk through, you can know the minefield of imposter syndrome is ahead of me, but I'm not going to trip that wire. I'm going around it. I deserve the success that I get because I was created to have it. That's good, right? I want to encourage you. This is a real problem. Some of the most famous people you watch on television in the sports world, in the television world, the movie world, actors and actresses, in the writing world, in books and novels, they deal with this syndrome. And they ask the question, why am I not enough? Can I tell you something? You're enough. You just got to figure out your lane and get in it. and I want to help you. So I hope that if you've been with me, you've been applying these 30 days of teachings. If you've not, and this is your first session, go back and grab them right here on this page, Jody Almond, Going All In, and share it with your friends, share it with your family. I'm doing this for free because we've been on lockdown and people are scared to death and they feel like their success has been ruined. No, no, ma'am, no, sir. This is your opportunity to launch. Remember, think about it like this, and I'm done. Think about it like this. The farther something is drawn back, if I have a bow and I draw it back, if I only draw it back a quarter of the way, that arrow is going to just flop, right? It's just going to flop on the ground. If I draw it back halfway, it's going to shoot a little farther. But if I take that bow and I draw it back as hard as I can and get all the pressure on that string that I can get, when I let go, that arrow is going to soar. Now, here's the thing. If I've got all that pressure pulled back against me in COVID and I aim in the right direction, when this thing breaks, me and you, friend, me and you, we're going to go somewhere and we're going to hit our target. And I want you to aim, and I want you to aim high. I want you to aim past the stars. I want you to realize you were created to do great things, and I want to see you accomplish them. I hope that you'll join me tomorrow night as we continue discussing this week different minefields that we have to learn to navigate as we're nearing the end, man. Day 26. We've got 3 more sessions left. 27, 28, 29, and 30. 4 more. We got four more sessions left. I don't feel like a failure. I'm good, right? Got 4 more sessions left, and I want you to stick with me. Again, share this. You can go to my YouTube channel as well. All these are on the YouTube channel at Jody, The Solution, SOULUTION, The Solution, just like on my page here, on my video. And you can go there and just type in The Solution, Jody Almond, and it'll pull up my YouTube page, and you can share that with folks that may not be on Facebook. But help get the word out, because this is a great training. This is a great teaching that will help impact and just improve people's lives. But until we can talk again tomorrow night at 7:30, I hope you have a great evening. God bless.